Welcome one and all to another YouTube video right here on AWM Studios podcast. I am your host, James Wolf. Welcome. In today's video, we're going to be ranking the most terrifying ghost faces that there has ever been in the Scream movie franchise. So stick with me. We'll be right back after this, and I'm going to be ranking all the killers that there's ever been so far in the Scream movie franchise. Be back after this. Welcome back to the AWM Studios podcast, everyone. Today, we're diving into something every Scream fan loves debating. Ranking all the Ghostface killers from Scream 1996 all the way through Scream 6 released in 2023. That's right, every mask, every motive, every twist, and every surprise, Sydney. So grab your popcorn, lock the doors, and let's get into it. Before I start, remember, this is my personal ranking. You might agree, you might think I've completely lost my mind, and that's totally fine. Drop your list down in the comments below when we're all done, because I want to see what you think of each killer from the Scream movie franchise. All this and more right here on the podcast. So let's get to our ranking, shall we? Alright. Starting off at the bottom of the Ghostface pile, we have killers whose motives were either weak, their execution was sloppy, or they just didn't leave an impact. I'm talking about characters like Jason and Greg from Scream 6. The ones who die before the movie even starts, really? They barely even count as killers, let's be honest. It's like Ghostface cameo appearances. Blink and you miss them. No stakes. No presence, no legacy, nothing. They were really just created just for hype, really, as a stupid way of making Ghostface relevant in the movie, or at least trying to start his relevancy early on in the movie. So, Jason and Greg from Scream 6 in the very opening, which you only really ever see Jason, you only see Greg's head in the refrigerator at the end of the opening scene. So, at that point, it's only really Jason, and he uses his real voice, which, in my opinion, when you are the killer and you're using your real voice on the phone, it falls in the same line as, let's say, Roman Bridger, when he was talking to Jesse McCarthy's character in Scream 3. Like, when he was talking to her as himself, and then we find out at the end of the movie that it really was him as the killer, like, that just took me out of the movie completely. When you're trying to be Ghostface, you want to use Ghostface's voice. You want to use Roger Jackson's voice. So you don't want to use your own real-life voice for this. And that's why Roman Bridger is in the same tier, the same ranking, the same BS ranking as Jason and Greg from Scream 6. I'm sorry. Hate me if you hate me. If you disagree with me, let me know down below why you disagree with me. But this is, again, my opinion, and everyone's got opinions. But my opinion is that Roman Bridger is on the exact same playing field as Jason and Greg from Scream 6, which serves no purpose, in my opinion, when you're using your real voice and you're trying to be the killer. If you're going to try and torture someone, if you're going to try and scare someone over the phone, I'm sorry. Use Ghostface's voice. Use Roger Jackson as your voice over the phone. Sort of like how you would do it if you were wearing the mask and you're talking to the person face to face. Like, as long as that mask is on, as long as that costume is on, you're Roger Jackson. It's almost like Darth Vader. Like, Darth Vader without the mask, fine. He could be the real actor. But the moment he puts the mask and the costume on, then you are the voice actor that is doing your voice. So what I'm trying to just get at the end of this long rant is basically, if you're gonna be Ghostface before your big reveal, use Roger Jackson's voice. Every killer that I'm gonna mention on this ranking list has used Roger Jackson's voice. This guy, right here, somewhere on the screen. Right here on the screen somewhere. This is Roger Jackson. This is what he really looks like. He's the voice of Ghostface. And in my opinion, he is Ghostface. He is everything that Ghostface is, in my opinion. I mean, face it, without him, Ghostface really wouldn't be Ghostface. I mean, he was originally hired on as just like a temp voice during the first ever Scream '96 movie. And he wasn't really meant to really stay as long as he did. He was meant to just go in, scare the cast, and then in post-production, they were going to originally hire someone else to do the voice in post-production so that they have a real voice to work with. But everyone was so terrified before they met him in real life, because in the original '96 Scream, they never allowed anybody to really meet Ghostface, the real voice behind it. They never allowed them to meet Roger Jackson till they were done with filming. Because back then, I mean, now with his picture all over online, any actor can look him up and be like, oh, so that's the voice. That's the guy that plays the voice. But back then, when you're trying to mask the voice and make it really terrifying, what you want to do is basically just hide the actor that plays Ghostface. So what you're going to do is basically have him offset, call onto the set for real, and interact with the actors in real time using his scary voice. And yes, here's another character that he played, again, somewhere on the screen. A cartoon character that he also played, which isn't terrifying at all. This is Mojo Jojo from the Powerpuff Girls back in the day. He was also the voice of this monkey alien creature. Again, somewhere on the screen. I may not be pointing in the right direction, but he's somewhere on the screen, his character. So he played those two voices, as well as probably many others. But again, I'm getting long-winded, and what I'm trying to get at is that Roger Jackson is the voice you want to use when you're wearing the mask or you're on the phone. If you're physically being seen without the mask or costume, then you could be your real voice. Then you could use your real voice. So, long story short, if you're trying to torture your actors for the sake of the movie, use Roger Jackson's voice. Alright, mid-tier now. Now we're on the mid-tier. We're getting into killers with personality, but not quite the elite status. First up, we have Mickey Altieri from Scream 2. He's fun, he's unhinged, he's Timothy Olyphant doing Timothy Olyphant things. But he also feels like the secondary killer in his own movie. You see, he had motive. He was already a psychopath. Like, his character development, his character arc, his character's backstory is that he was already previously a psychopathic killer. He wasn't Ghostface before the events of this movie. But face it, Mickey was a psychopathic killer, which is why when Mrs. Loomis, which, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Scream 2 by now, I don't know why. If you haven't seen it, though, before I spoil any more, I suggest stopping this video, watching the movie, and then coming right back to finish this video off. Because I'm going to be spoiling more than just Scream 2. I just spoiled Scream 6 and Scream 3 in a way. So, before I spoil any more, be sure that you already did watch Screams 1 through 5. Because I'm going to be spoiling the crap out of these movies. So just be on the lookout for that. Okay? But again, Mickey from Scream 2, in my opinion, and this is just me, outside of Billy and Stu, the original Ghostface killers, Mickey seems to be the better of the killers, in my opinion. He just seems to be more creative, let's just say, in the way he moves around, in the way he kills, and in the way he tries to psychologically manipulate people into trying to steer them away from him being looked at as the killer. But like I said, spoiler alert, the secondary killer, or the main killer, the leader killer in Scream 2 ended up being Billy Loomis's mother, Mrs. Loomis herself. And, well, I guess that wasn't a throwaway line in Scream 1 when he said, well, his mom ran out on him and she's somewhere else. Well, yeah, she ran out on Billy. But at the same time, Mrs. Loomis was also an iconic killer. I mean, Pamela Voorhees in Friday the 13th was also an iconic killer. She was the one that started the franchise of Friday the 13th. But we're not talking about Friday the 13th. We're talking about Scream, baby. And I just cannot wait for Scream 7. Again, if you're going to watch this, I suggest watching it all the way through. Even the crappy ones, like Scream 3 was slightly crappy. I still love Scream 3. Don't get me wrong. It had its hit points where it was boring and was repetitive at times. But even still, I would still watch it. I would still enjoy it. Would I rank it as like top tier movie? No. Scream 1 will be top tier. Scream 2 will be middle tier. Scream 4 will be like maybe after Scream 2 in my ranking list. But we're not talking about ranking movies. We're talking about ranking the killers from the movies. And like I keep saying, like I keep repeating myself, and I apologize for that. I tend to do that at times. Is that Mickey and Mrs. Loomis? Fantastic killers. Fantastic in my opinion. But now we're going to get a little bit deeper. A mid-tier list here. And we've got this guy. Again, somewhere on the screen. Ethan from Scream 6. Now, who is Ethan? Let's just say he's a creepy college kid, sure. Kind of awkward, sure. But he didn't really stand out until the final act at the end of Scream 6 again. Also, in this tier, I'm putting his father, or who we find out later on in the ending of Scream 6 is his father, Detective Bailey. His motive made sense, but the performance felt a little too cartoonish. Still entertaining, but not top tier. Not top tier. Because his just mirrors almost 100% to the complete motive of Mrs. Loomis in Scream 2. Revenge, because you killed my son, now I'm gonna kill you guys. It's like, well, you guys are a crazy family to begin with. You're basically a Manson family cult. With Richie, he was already indoctrinated as being a killer. He already looked like a killer in Scream 5. Jack Quaid's character, Richie, which I'm going to put on the screen somewhere. Any killers that I mention, I'm going to be putting on the screen, so you'll always see what they look like. Still, he already looked like a killer, acted like a killer, sounded like a killer. Like, you couldn't get more killerish than Richie from Scream 5. Like, seriously. And then you got his little brother, Ethan, who was in Scream 6 with his father, Detective Bailey. Oh, and I should mention his sister, too. I apologize, I forgot her name. But you got his sister, too, who was also a killer in Scream 6. So you had a 3 Ghostface family combo. You had Detective Bailey, the father. You had Ethan, the son. And you had, shit, I forgot her name. I apologize. My mind is blanking on this. But you had the daughter, too. It's like the entire family is nothing but screwed up killers. But still, Ethan and Detective Bailey were decent in their roles. All right. Now, let's get into the top of the tier list right now. These are the Ghostface killers who've changed the franchise, who created the very blueprint, who developed the performances that fans still talk about to this very day. First, we have Sidney Prescott's own cousin, Jill Roberts, from Scream 4. A lot of people underrate her, but Jill's motive was ahead of its time. Craving fame in the internet era, wanting the spotlight without doing the work. She was brutal, manipulative, and her reveal scene was one of the best in the franchise. Jill goes high on this list. But at the same time, there was some flaws. She was a whiny little brat, character-wise. I'm not talking about Emma Roberts. I'm talking about the character of Jill Roberts again. We should know this by now. But Jill Roberts was a whiny little brat who wanted fame because her cousin had fame for dark reasons. But still, she was the whiny little brat. So she manipulated a fan of the movie Stab and manipulated him into doing all the killings for her. Which, if you ask me, he was the killer of, if not all the killings until the final reveal scene at the end. He was responsible for most of the killing, if not all. Charlie just was the killer. Every single time there was a kill on screen, he had to have been the killer. Even the attempted murder of Courtney Cox's character, Gail Weathers, or Gail Riley at the time, even then, it had to have been Charlie, because it's impossible to have Jill in two places at once. You could say, yeah, time lapse or something like that. No. No. Jill was at home with her cousin and her aunt while the cops were watching the property outside. So you can't just say, oh, well, Jill went to the private screening of Stab and attempted to kill Gail, left, came back. No. It's, one, too far away from the house. And two, impossible. Even if you tried and used movie logic, it still seems impossible. So it had to have been Charlie for most of the movie's killing. I'm not going to say she didn't do one or two spots here and there. Probably did. But for the most part, it was Charlie doing all the killing. I mean, he was in love with Jill Roberts, and he only did it because he had true love for her. So, with that being said, I still put Jill herself very high on this list. Next, we have the one, the only, Matthew Lillard of Stumacher fame from the original 1996 first ever movie, Scream. Now, Matthew Lillard didn't just play the killer. He created a horror icon. From the voice cracks to the wild improvisation, Stu was unforgettable. The energy in every scene he's in is pure chaos. He changed Ghostface forever. And in my opinion, he's the best Ghostface of all time. Better than every other Ghostface there has been in the last 6 movies. I created this list before I actually had a chance to really think it through all the way. I apologize. I'm a little rusty at making videos. This is my second video or third video or fourth video back, something like that, in a long time. And I'm trying to crank these out left and right because I want to get back to it. Because I have passion for making these videos. I really do. As much as it probably doesn't show, because if you check the video log on my YouTube channel, you'll see some videos are like 6 months, some are like 8 months, some are like a year, some are like a year and a half. Like, there's a lot of freaking gap between my videos. So it probably doesn't show that I have passion for it. But I suffer from depression and anxiety. I know I mentioned this in a lot of videos, and I'm not trying to use it as a crutch or as an excuse. It's true. I deal with anxiety, like really high anxiety. So it takes a lot of energy for me to make these types of videos or make any videos at all. So that's why it takes me sometimes like months in between to make the next videos. And I know that's not the right thing to do when you're trying to build a successful YouTube channel. You want to crank them out as often as you can. Is number 2 on my list, but for the sake of this script that I pre-wrote, he's number 1 on my list. So let's get to it. Billy Loomis. What can I say about Billy Loomis? Outside of the fact that he's the original. The moment he licks the blood off of his fingers, horror history Billy was cold, calculated, and twisted in a way that felt real. Without him, none of this exists. He is the Ghostface blueprint, and he still stands at the very top of this list. Again, want to reiterate, this was written months ago, so I apologize. I've changed my viewpoints between now and then. But yes, Billy Loomis, at the time of this writing of the script, was number one on my list. Not so much her boyfriend, Steve. I don't think Steve Orth was killed by Billy Loomis. I think he was killed by Stu. And here's why I think so. We find out in the one scene when they're all sitting on the water fountain that Stu used to date Casey until she broke up with him to go out with the big jock. So, with that being said, Stu had more of a motive to killing Steve Orth, the guy that he views stole his girl from him. So, he was more pent up and raged at Stephen Orth than he was at Casey Becker. So, Billy Loomis is number one because he's the one who ultimately started the movie off. Casey Becker was the second victim of the whole movie in the span of 5 to 7 minutes. So, with that being said, Billy Loomis is number one on this list for that very reason. Without him, the rest of the movie wouldn't make sense. That wraps up my full ranking of every Ghostface killer from my Scream kill list. That's what I'm going to call it. I apologize. I'm not trying to get demonetized or anything like that, but unalived list, kill list, whatever you want to call it. But yes, that wraps up this video. But I got 2 questions that I want you guys to answer down below in the comments. Number 1, who is your number 1 Ghostface of all time? And number 2, which one do you think was the most underrated in the whole franchise, and why? Drop your answers in the comments below. I'm really excited to see how you guys list yours. Let me know. And if you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe to the AWM Studios podcast and turn on notifications so you never miss when I drop new videos or go live with more horror discussions and gameplay streams. Oh, and of course, once again, for the last time in this video, don't forget to check out Scream 7 hitting theaters February 27th, 2026. You'll know that I'm definitely going to be covering that when it comes out. Again, Scream 7, February 27th, 2026, next year. February 27th, 2026, Scream 7. See you all when that all drops next year. And see you all in the very next video. I'm James Wolfe, and I'm out.